Hey, good morning, Fred Field. Are you still here? We're both here at the same time, 11:56. Thank you for being so prompt, Mr. Field. You're amazing. I guess that's how you keep that very early schedule of yours. So, where do I begin? Where do I begin? Yesterday, I was so rushed during my live. I did not like that at all. I didn't mind so much while I was doing it, but then when I reviewed it, I was like, I should probably just have a do over. And I've thought that many times with many videos, and I usually just leave them up. So maybe I will just leave that up and just try to readdress some of the issues. So, my biggest issue yesterday was that I was trying to get a video done, before I went to my doctor's appointment. So, I went to my doctor's appointment, big pain in the rear end because, it was a specialist, somebody I'd never seen before in my life. And I hate that, like having to find a new office and you don't know where you're going or anything. JR Nana Boomer, sending love and light to all. So, my disappointment with my doctor's appointment yesterday, just to give you a quick update, is that he couldn't really give me any additional help. It's vestibular neuritis and the labyrinthus. Labyrinthus, I think is how you say it. Infections of the inner ear. So that's cool to have some new vocabulary, vestibular neuritis, but uncool that he had no idea what is causing it or how to help resolve it. He basically just said, keep doing what you're doing. And probably that was all my primary care physician was hoping for anyway, was just to rule out that they weren't missing something big. We got sent home an hour early last 2 days due to no freight truck was home before 9 o'clock in the morning. LOL. 9 o'clock in the morning, right? You work from 2 a.m. till 11. My husband works the night shift, so I empathize with you, Fred. It's rough on a person. So I was showing off my little globe here yesterday and just wanted to make sure if it's giving anybody trouble because of like the kind of flashing light, I will shut it off. But I do also want to encourage people that are concerned about air quality, that these are super cool for your air quality. They're not just fun and cool to play with, but they're really healthy for you too. And I don't think a lot of people know that. So, I'm constantly looking things up before I go on live, sometimes in the middle of my live, and then while I'm reviewing my videos so that I can try to make sure that I have all these names right and facts straight. So let's just start with this crazy case that I covered yesterday from the most recent 2020. Um, and that is the case of the Haze, right? Haze. So Grant Haze is the musician who is serving prison time for dismembering his baby mama's person. And he's a musician, and you can find him on YouTube. I'm going to put some links in the description. It's really creepy. So he and his new wife, Amanda Haze, they had a new baby, and her name was Amanda Berry, wasn't it? Yeah, it was Amanda Berry before they got married, which was what took my brain over to Amanda Berry, who was kidnapped in Cleveland with two other teenagers in 2003 and then discovered in 2013. And then Amanda Berry is the one that has her own segment on the Cleveland News for missing persons. So Amanda Berry married Grant Haze and became Amanda Haze. So their last name was spelled Hayes, but then Grant changed it for his musical career to Haze. So the brand new baby that they had at the time of the unaliving of the other baby mama, um, that baby's name is Lily. So Lily Haze. And this is what's so sad. So you can see, I'll put a link in the description, a video that Grant posted of the day that Lily was born, June 16th, 2011. And then the terrible unaliving, absolutely disgusting unaliving of the is it Lori Akerson or Laura Akerson, the first baby mama? That was a month later, you guys. That was July 13th. So the baby wasn't even a month old. And then pretty quickly, within a few days, they jumped in the car, rented a U-Haul, and drove everything to Texas to Amanda's sisters. And that's where they disposed of the remains in the creek infested with alligators. So there were parts of her that were discovered. Actually, I think most of her was discovered, but they had dismembered her. So they did all this with a newborn baby, is what I'm trying to say, you guys. The little baby was not even a month old on the day of the unaliving. And then they traveled with the little baby and the two small boy toddlers from this deceased person that's in their trailer in coolers and a trash bucket and suitcase, like all parted out. It's crazy. It's absolutely insane. So let's see what you guys are saying. Can you put a link later about that good for you thing? The good for you thing? The link about the vestibular problem. That I usually go through and put like dozens of links in after I make the video when I'm reviewing it, because I'm, not wanting to just drop information without verifying it, since that's just how I do things. I work 5 to 9, but get up early to get breakfast, shower, let Pity out, check up on internet for an hour before work. Oh, okay. So you work 5 in the morning. So you have to leave your house super early. I gotcha. Yeah, I was thinking that you worked 2 a.m., but you wake up at 2 a.m. You were talking about something that might bother us, the lights, but it's also good for you. It does something. This thing. Thanks, JR Nana Boomer. You're the best. So, yeah, this is called a plasma ball. And I did look them up to make sure that everything I said was accurate. And it looks like it's just a fun lava lamp kind of thing, which it is, but it is literally a germ killer. So by putting like my hand on it, I'm killing the germs on my hand. And I think it's called cold plasma. But I can feel that, like where it lights up, I can feel it kind of thump on the palm of my hand. I don't think I can feel it so much on my fingertips because that's a smaller electricity wave. But it kills the bacteria in the air. So bacteria and germs. It's way cool. Way cool, especially after COVID, right? So yeah, I used to have like 2 or 3 of them that I kept going at all times, but then the kids would play with them. The kids were littler and they'd knock them down and break them. So I only have the one that has survived, and I almost broke it a few days ago. Okay, so let's stay focused if I can. That's always my challenge as I go off in all these different directions. So before I forget, I want to tell you that Amanda Berry, the one who married Grant Haze, was in the movie Stepford Wives with Nicole Kidman. She just had a really small part, but she was a trained actress. And then she married a man who was extremely wealthy, who passed away in an accident. I don't know much about that. I'm going to look into it because I'm always curious when people pass away in accidents, like Chris Skinner in the Micah Miller case, right? Accident. So Amanda inherited a lot of money. And then she met Grant, who was about 5 years younger than her. I want to say he was 32, she was 37, around the time that they had the baby and everything went to hell in a handbasket. And so he was living in the Virgin Islands, St. John's, and she was probably on a vacation. I don't know, maybe she moved there, but that's where they met. And his baby mama, Lori Akerson, had moved back to North Carolina where they were from because the younger of the two boys, his name was Gentle. So Grant Haze was Grant the third, and then his older toddler is Grant Haze the fourth, and then the younger boy, Gentle Haze, had some type of medical condition that he needed to get treatment for on a regular basis. So the mom, like any normal good mom would, moved to an area where he could get the best medical treatment. And so they were still together, she thought, when he then called her up and let her know that he ran off to Vegas with this woman and got married. And then they had the baby. And then I think that what had happened, let's see, Amanda and Grant moved from St. Thomas up to New York City so that they could try to accelerate his musical career. He had a lot of talent, and there was like the Grant Haze variety show or something like that that was recording in New York. They burned through all the money that Amanda had inherited from her deceased husband, and then they moved in with his parents in North Carolina or something like that. So they moved back to North Carolina. But by the time the homicide happened, they had their own apartment. So I got to slow down here so I can make sure I get the names right, because I don't like it when I cross my wires. So Lori Akerson, Grant's baby mama of the two boys, her and Grant were in a custody battle. And I'm not sure if it's Lori or Laura, either one, Akerson. So she went over to his apartment to get the boys from a visit and saw the newborn baby that Grant and Amanda had just had. And that's probably where the homicide occurred, is in their apartment and with the baby there. I don't know where the boys were, if they were there, or maybe the boys were over at Grant's parents, hopefully. Grant's parents are who's raising all three of the kids, because Amanda and Grant are both in prison. And recently as this last summer, Amanda was released from her prison term in North Carolina for, I think that was for the like manslaughter, but then she was shipped to serve a 20-year prison sentence in Texas. So one of the things I caught when I rewatched the 2020 this morning is that Amanda was captured on a videotape surveillance camera, discarding of some of the evidence at like an illegal landfill that was by the river, just a mile and a half down from where they had put Lori's remains in the water to get eaten by the alligators. So all this happened really quickly. They unalived her probably on the 13th of July. And then I want to say they were arrested 11 days later, you guys. So like, yeah, July 24th of 2013. So yeah, very, very sad. So they had 3 giant coolers and a suitcase and a big trash bucket, and then muriatic acid that they had purchased at Home Depot. So they, because it all happened so quickly, from 11 days from the time of the unaliving until the arrest, law enforcement was able to get all the videotape surveillance from Home Depot and Walmart of the two of them, or actually, it was just Grant who went and purchased these things. And the name of the song that he made in 2011, called Broomstick Rider, is what he took the beat from Thrift Shop, John McLemore's song, and he grew up in Seattle. I found that out, looked that up last night. Um, and the Macklemore song was recorded in 2011, and then it was released in 2012. And somehow I don't think it won a Grammy until 2014. I don't know how that works. But anyway, so Grant had a lot of connections in the music industry. So he was privy to that song as soon as it was recorded. It was a great song and he knew it. And so he kind of borrowed the beat, and that song Broomstick Rider, which I will also put a link to that in the description, is part of how they cracked the case. Amanda Berry had an older daughter that did a lot to help law enforcement. She just couldn't believe that her mom was caught up in this, and she did all of the right things. And you gotta give her kudos for that, because that's got to be hard. I've thought about that. If somebody in my family were to do something terrible, I think I would do the same thing, hopefully. But yeah. Yeah. And then that song Stressed Out, that I kind of just jumped to yesterday with my you know my thought process just went from the Macklemore song that won the Grammy in 2014, because it's such a weird song if you guys haven't heard it, or even if you had. And then Stressed Out won a Grammy in 2016, and their award was for the best alternative song, because it's a really unusual song. So I just went in my free association thought process from Macklemore to 21 Pilots, who I love, who's from Columbus. And the video for that song, Stressed Out, if you guys don't know the story, I'd love to insert these things. I hope I don't drive you nuts. They made that video for Stressed Out in their neighborhood that they grew up in, at their parents' houses. It starts in one house, and then they ride their little big wheel things over to the other house, and that's where the rest of the song is recorded, or the rest of the video. And that was actually their parents' houses. That was actually where they grew up. So then when they were just this little band and they didn't think it was going to be a big deal, but when that song went viral, then their families had to move, not just because they had all this money and they could afford it, but they had to because the neighborhood was being stalked by all the fans. So that's hilarious, because it's just this really modest Columbus neighborhood. I don't even know. I have no idea what part of Columbus it is. I know the parts of Columbus that are super cool, super nice, or the ghettos around Ohio State University. But I don't know where that real kind of vanilla area is that they recorded their video in. Anyway, back to Macklemore, who grew up in Seattle, and then he recorded his song in 2011. It got released in 2012. And how does it get a Grammy 2 years later? That makes no sense to me. Anyway, that's what the internet told me, so I guess it's accurate. Who knows? But let's keep up with where you guys are. This sounds like the 6-year-old girl, the father unalived her, carried around terrible people. I don't know about that one. Yeah, you've got Maddie Soto, 13, and the disgusting Steven Stearns, and I just can't pay attention to that case at all right now. I know there's a lot happening. Paula Plunder's been posting a lot. A lot of channels have been keeping up with that. And I literally just want to throw up. I absolutely can't watch it. I can barely think about it. As you can see, I can barely talk about it. I just want to burst out in tears. That poor little girl. That poor little girl. Like Kaylee's accident, Fred. I love that you're always going back to Kylie and I said her name wrong. I think it might be misspelled, but it's hard with the K-I-E or the K-E-I. No, you spelled it right. My brain is misspelling it. So yeah, Kylie's accident. And I wanted to talk about that because we don't need to be rocket scientists to know that Scammy is guilty as sin. I mean, just stupid things that she said, which everything she said was stupid, but let me think of one of them. When she said that Kylie's phone went radio silent. How would you know that this person's phone went radio silent when you're just a kid? I mean, an 18-year-old kid, so you're not a minor. But what makes you think that if there was any activity on the phone, you would be the first to know about it? She gave herself away every step along the way. And I feel like the powers that be in Tahoe area, did you like the photograph in the thumbnail of the Tahoe area? The powers that be are so powerful there. They were able to make this nonsensical narrative fly. As far as the official narrative goes, yeah, she was in a car accident and ain't nobody to blame but her. It's so surreal. It's so implausible that the car could have gotten to where it was, that the car could have not been discovered for all the time that it was not discovered. The whole story is insane, but that story is designed to protect some very rich and powerful people's children, in my opinion. It's disgusting. I mean, if these kids can get away with this when they're 18, imagine, the sky's the limit. Like, what else are they going to get away with in their lifetimes? That can't go down like that. I mean, not just to have the justice for Kylie, that's important, but also, they're menaces to society. They're absolutely dangerous individuals. Absolutely. Kylie Rodney accident. Yeah, I know it's terrible when you Google it. I mean, don't ask artificial intelligence what happened. I remember Kevin Neese was the first one to do that. He quizzed artificial intelligence about Kylie Rodney's accident, and it's pretty fascinating. Because, yeah, even artificial intelligence knows it's not right. Laughing at word accident, not what may have happened to Kylie. No accident there. Right. I mean, in my opinion, there is a very small outside chance that she passed away from an accidental overdose or an accidental too hard of a beatdown. Like, the beatdown wasn't accidental, but maybe the amount of damage was accidental. And even if there was some type of accidental malice, then the malice occurred afterwards, more malice with the covering up. And so many people hiding the truth. I mean, the folks in the town of Truckee must be scared for their lives. The families of the teenagers that know things, the teenagers that might have seen something gruesome, that might need counseling or might need to report themselves as potential weakest links, right? It's unreal that people in Truckee would stay there. What a precarious situation. But then maybe it's too dangerous for them to leave, because if they leave, then they're really drawing attention to themselves. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, let me do my little disclaimer. Everything I say is simply my opinion for the sake of hoping to start a conversation, open up a discussion, learn something, be educational. All my videos are made for YouTube. It's an entertainment platform. Please like, share, subscribe, and turn on your notification bell if you'd be so kind. And here's my broken, incredible Hulk thumb. You know, I broke the tip of it off a long time ago, and it still works. It still works, but I was bummed when I did that. Okay. I could put a Band-Aid on it, right? CHP report looks like they are confused about the intoxication issue. Well, right, because I mean, I'm still confused, honestly, about the remains found in the CRV. I'm not convinced that that's her CRV. I'm not convinced that that's her remains by any stretch. I mean, that's a really popular car and a really popular color. And then all the, oh, it had a sunroof. No, it didn't have a sunroof. Oh, it had a sticker of a cow with horns. Weird crap. Really weird crap. There's a lot of silver CRVs. From what year was that? Like a 2011, or I think it was a 2013. It was one of those two. If the fire, okay, Sammy is still raving on at college. Well, yeah, and this was 2 years ago, so she might be 2 years away from graduating. That's gross. Absolutely disgusting. But you know, people sometimes get arrested years later. I mean, Barry Morphew still hasn't been arrested in the Suzanne Morphew homicide, and it was determined that it was a homicide when they found her remains and did the autopsy, did the forensic examination. And then you know, sometimes it takes 20 years. I mean, with people as powerful as these family members obviously are, with their billion-dollar government contracts and their generations of deep pockets in all of basically international finances, it could take a very long time. But in the meantime, quite honestly, you guys, I'm surprised that kids in Truckee haven't done self-harm, you know, feeling so helpless and stuck and knowing what they might know. And I don't like to say that, because I, you know, actually by saying it, maybe I'm going to jinx it so it won't happen. But, you know, that was my thought from early on when things started to pan out for this. And I was just like, man, I mean, it's only been 2 years, and what, 2 years and 2 months, basically 2 years and 1 month since she was found. Not even 2 years and a month. So like 25 months since, wait, the 21st of August. So yeah, 25 and a half months, 26 months almost, since she was discovered. So, or the car that they say is her car and the remains that they say are her remains. And yeah, the toxicity level, or the ethanol level in the remains that were discovered, was the equivalent of the ethanol that a body would produce when decomposing for that amount of time. So, I mean, that's not indicative of anybody having any alcohol in their system. If fire cam, then how could they see her if her headlights were off and neutral? Yeah, I know. J.R. Nana, thank you for saying that. And again, I've said this so many times. I really appreciate all of the content creators that go over all of that stuff with a fine-tooth comb and painstakingly examine it all. But I think it's all crap. I think that this whole phenomena with YouTube, and that these gaslighters think if they make videos of whatever theory gaslighting that they want to put out there, that if they make videos, then people are going to believe it because they saw a video about it, right? And it's just like if you see something on TV or just because you read it in print, it doesn't mean that it's true by any stretch, by any stretch. So yeah, I mean, that fire cam footage would have been discovered on day one. They would have looked at that to see exactly what their timeline was. They would have looked at that to see what had been going on out there. And then in their search for this missing person, I mean, just the whole thing with the search with the last proof of life photograph of not Kylie, that gaslighting right there was specifically to throw off the whole chronology of when things happened to Kylie. So they're trying to say, oh, look, she's still walking around in a store at 6 p.m. on August 5th, when no, she wasn't. In my opinion, that's not her. She wasn't walking around at 6 p.m. anywhere. By 6 p.m., she was probably either incapacitated and abducted and being held captive, or she was long gone. One of those two. But I mean, people get abducted and held captive, and that's not a conspiracy theory. Those things happen. It's crazy. But keeping somebody from moving around freely is considered kidnapping. Even if you're just like blocking a doorway so that somebody can't leave a room, that's illegal. I mean, just so people know that you're not allowed to constrain another person's ability to move around freely. That's part of, I don't know if that's just in our country, in America, or if, I mean, hopefully it's in other countries too, but we're allowed to move around freely. Like, that's just a very, very simple freedom of this country. Maybe not all countries. I mean, certainly if you're a woman in some other countries, you don't have that right. You're not entitled to that freedom. It's pretty scary, huh? How could they tell it was her in the fire cam? How does CHP know it even was her vehicle? Exactly, JR Nana Boomer. You were so on it. You were so on it. And I really appreciate you guys staying focused on Kylie Rodney's case, because, I like to talk about other cases, but I always want to come back to Kylie Rodney. There may have been self-harm, but it's always made out to be an accident. Lots of accidents. Exactly. Like whatever happened to Charlie Holderman, the person that was allegedly in that really bad car accident, that person who seemed like they were pretty central to what was going on. I mean, I don't even know if you can find videotape footage of that person anymore. It used to be that you could see Charlie Holderman walking around in the ground zero footage of the search area. And Charlie was wearing sunglasses and a baseball cap and looking extremely creepy, because at first we didn't know that Charlie was a trans person. So it was obvious that they were older than the rest of the kids involved in this. These 18-year-olds, 17 and 18-year-olds, and Charlie was early 30s. And then when Zanime said that she was visiting Charlie Holderman because Charlie had cancer and she just happened to be in Truckee, and then she found out that there was this missing kid, so she just happened to go out and try to search for the missing kid. Like, all of that is so whack. And then she just happens to land on, what was it, Ickmael's YouTube, and really trying to control the narrative. And bless Upchurch's soul that he was there to shoot her down, because she probably could have controlled the narrative if not for Upchurch and his interventions, in my opinion. He did a really good job of ungaslighting the gaslighting. And then the whole thing with Red Flag Ronnie, my goodness, how nuts is that? How nuts is that? And then the lawsuit against him, of all people, when he did so much for Kylie. So much for Kylie. Yeah, there's just no way for a fire cam to be able to, oh yeah, that's her car right there. It's like, it is a car that doesn't even go into the water. The presumption that she was driving because she was the only person in the vehicle and in the boot of the vehicle. And there was that strap hanging out of the back of the vehicle in the underwater footage from AWP. She might have been strapped down. There may have been self-harm, yeah. Someone gave the fire cam footage to CHP. Who? They received the fire cam after the accident. Law enforcement wasn't who found the fire cam. And day one, hour one, is when law enforcement would have been like, we are going to look at the fire cam footage. I was out camping in the upper peninsula of Lake Michigan at, is it called Picture Rock? I always mess it up and call it Painted Rock. It's Pictured Rock, I think, or Picture Rock. It's so pretty up there, 26 miles of coastline. So we were camping out for a week, and it was like our last day of camping there when I was being bad and watching YouTube on my cell phone and found out about Kylie being a missing person. And I want to say it was August 9th, maybe the 8th, but it was probably the 9th. Anyway, it was our last day there. So we'd been camping for a week, and I was just really blown away thinking about this whole thing happening out there in the woods. You know, I'd been to Tahoe, I'd been to Truckee handfuls of times. You know, I grew up in California some, and none of it made sense. But my first thought within probably half an hour was, well, thank goodness they have that fire cam, so they'll be able to get a handle on what went down right away. And then it didn't happen for months. It was probably late September, early October, when SF Investigates sent all the prominent YouTubers the footage with like infestations of computer viruses to blow up these content creators' ability to make videos. F that, man. That guy is freaking crazy. How is he not in jail? He is so freaking creepy. Him and Xaname. Not to mention Check It and Red Flag Ronnie and some others. TD from Arizona with his American Dream Catching stupid freaking channel. Like how does he still have a channel? You guys remember the chat that he was in, his own chat, saying that we can gang her 6 weeks before Kylie went missing. Fill in the blank. Sorry, I should have said trigger warning. How do you still have a channel when you say that in your chat? Give me an effing break. Give me an effing break, YouTube. Like, there's so much crap on YouTube that should not be allowed. And then little channels like me get shadow banned for covering Kylie. Hello. So yeah, now my channel is going to be deleted. But you know what? I don't even care. I'll go to another platform if that were to happen. It's been a struggle, but I'm here just to express myself. And Kylie was what inspired me to come out of the darkness into video land and talk about domestic violence. I mean, it's still my opinion that Kylie Rodney could have been some form of domestic violence with one of these ex-boyfriends that is affiliated with the whole story. Right? The Hamburglar and the Jägermeister. I mean, it could easily be a domestic violence type of thing with Kylie. And here we are in October, Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So you guys are awesome. Thank you for being here with me, JR, Nana, Boomer, and Fred Field. Let me change that to live chat. And the trial for the girls killed in Delphi is just starting after quite a time. Right, Fred. It was, I think, 5 years before anyone was arrested. And now, isn't it like 6 years or more? It's so terrible. And then there's those other two girls. So Delphi is in Indiana. And then there's the other two girls from Iowa. That's like probably 12 years old. The cousins. I've covered that some. It gets really confusing because the name of the town in Iowa is very similar to the name of a town in Indiana or Illinois, but the two cousins was Iowa. And I could pick up my phone and Google, but I'm not going to because we're not talking about that case. And yeah, the two girls, Libby and Abigail in Delphi, the 13-year-old and the 11-year-old. Ugh, so disgusting. Who is this Steve Fisher guy that has access to everything? Is he one of those dumb angels here incognito but can't do things without being obvious? I don't really know what you mean by dumb angel. I mean, I don't think that he's up to anything good. I think he's up to everything bad. I mean, remember when he was going through the circuit of all the YouTube live panels like Zav Girl, and he'd be on there for like 4 hours and then he'd say, oh, well, I'm getting tired. I need to go. And then he'd go and call her the B word and slam her on his own social media for a couple hours, and clearly abusing substances, in my opinion. Clearly abusing substances. The CNY deathbed confession, Fred. Okay, let's see what you're saying here. If true, said Kylie was injured in the beatdown and lived untreated a few days, trace of other drugs would be gone. The whole deathbed confession thing was weird AF. I mean, nobody's going to confess from their deathbed about things that they heard. It's freaking crazy. But yeah, it could fit. I mean, like what you're saying. There's a lot of possibilities of what could fit. I still think there's a very, very remote snowball's chance that she could still be not deceased, that she still could be in captivity, that she could still be getting trafficked. I mean, I don't think that that's what's going on, but I think that there is that potential. I mean, it's unreal, these things that we learn about, with P. Diddy and R. Kelly and so many others, Epstein. I mean, it takes forever for these things to come to fruition in court for the public to know anything. And we still don't know much. I mean, whatever it is that we learn as the public in a court case is only part of the story. We're not going to know all of it. It's just not the way those things work. Jules recently did a video with CHP photos. The strap is still hanging out the back. Huh? When are they going to open that door? I know Jules does such great work, man. I don't know how she stays on top of her game. That girl's out of control in a really good way. I mean, she covers so many cases in such depth. I mean, she's just constantly, she's got like a live feed to the court filings basically. And it's great. She gets her information from the source. She puts her opinion in there. She's a really good channel. I admire her a great deal. So, let me look at my notes and see what else I had gleaned in my second viewing of that 2020 episode. And I'm telling you, there is so much information that I miss the first time around in anything that I watch. There is just so much information, and I'm trying to take it all in. And I don't know if, it's just my style of learning, but I almost have to watch something twice, if not more, to really understand it in depth. So yeah, that whole thing about Amanda Berry being in the Stepford Wife movie with Nicole Kidman, like I said, she had a very, very small part, but it's pretty interesting because that's a pretty spooky movie. And then, oh my goodness, I'm so glad I looked at this. There was a psychologist in court in the custody battle between Grant and Lori for the boys, for Gentle and Grant Jr. There was a psychologist who said these exact words. It's in the video. They want to obliterate her. And she was talking about Amanda and Grant wanting to obliterate Lori. She was talking about it metaphorically in the custody trial before. I'll have to watch it a third time. I believe it was before any of this obliteration actually happened. I mean, the skill saw that was purchased to dismember her, I think that was in their apartment, not her apartment. I misunderstood the first time I saw it. I thought it was at her apartment. It was in their apartment because, again, she came over to see that newborn baby. Oh my goodness, it's so insane. And, they try to say that that was accidental. So no, people try to say that things are accidental simply to reduce the level of punishment, because if something is intentional, the legal punishment is going to be way worse. So yeah, I don't believe any of that deathbed confession, and none of it. I think that's just bizarre. And I think from the evidence that I've looked at over the 2 years, it seems like whatever was done to Kylie was done very intentionally, and that the plan might have been to abduct her or to turn her out or to rub her out. I don't know. I mean, a lot of this might not ever be known. But anyway, the psychologist in court saying that they want to obliterate her, quote unquote. I'd say that that's a really good psychologist, because it's almost like she is psychic, because that's exactly what they did to her with the style of first committing the homicide and then trying to cover the evidence, and then with the muriatic acid, and then the alligators. I mean, they did everything they could to make her disappear. So gross. So yeah, also Amanda Berry's sister that they went to visit in Texas with the trailer, with the coolers and the suitcase. So that's where the hog farm was on her sister's property. But this, I don't think, maybe her aunt, I think it was her aunt that was like, they called her Amanda called her a sister or something like that. Like this person was more like a maternal figure for Amanda. So when she showed up with the newborn baby, a month old, and her new husband, and a trailer, and a big chest, that was like how they tried to camouflage having the trailer and everything in it, was that they were delivering this very large piece of antique furniture to the aunt's house, so that she could hold on to it. And then that's where the hog farm was, and where they stored the parts, um, uh, the corpse. So then they also, you know, that woman had kids too. And that's also who they borrowed the boat from to go out on this river that they call it a creek, but it's a 25-foot wide creek with alligators. So I would call that a river myself. But yeah, so Lori Akerson went from their apartment into the containers in the U-Haul to the hog farm, and then they took the boat out in the middle of the night, and that was troubling. So when law enforcement showed up to her door, that's where they got the title for the series, or for the episode, Can I Pray First? Is law enforcement asked if they can speak with her, and her response was, Can I pray first? And they said, yeah, sure. And she prayed, and then she spoke with them, and nothing was sitting right with her. So she told them everything she knew. And it's a good thing that the daughter of Amanda and this motherly figure of Amanda, without the two of them being so forthright, right, and cooperative, that might not have been as easy to solve as it seemingly was. And see, that's what we don't have in the Kylie Rodney case. We don't have family members speaking the truth. And that's, I think, always been one of the most upsetting things in Kylie's case for me, and I think for many of us. Granny Annie traveling again. Hola from Vegas. Hello, girlfriend. You guys are like my faithful crew. I just can't express my gratitude for you guys being here. Thank you. Good to see you, girl. Yeah, you were like back and forth every couple of weeks, right? Because of your like doctor's appointments and such. So a week from tomorrow is when Coco, when I drop her off for her surgery. So very, very, I'm excited for it to happen, but I'm also concerned about it spreading between now and then. I told you it's not looking good. It's kind of changed. Like the lump on her hind is bulging and changing shape. I mean, it is so frightening. That's one of the things with cancer that you need to look for, is if things are changing rapidly, and it is, and it's so creepy. I can hardly look at it. My husband's much better about like examining it and keeping an eye on things, but you know, when we get her into the surgery and get her started with her radiation, I'll be a lot more relaxed. I'm kind of on pins and needles right now. And that stress might be part of what's causing my whole inner ear thing, my labyrinth. uh, anyway, just caught up at 2 times speed and wanted to say that Xana May, it's all BS. Hey, Alice, should be fired at her alleged job position and security level, can't be online and social media and talking conspiracies. Alice Moral Dennis, if I'm saying your name right, aren't you so freaking sharp? And see, this is the thing with gaslighting, is that you just kind of accept things at face value, and what you said is 100,000% accurate. Like, yeah, if she has those types of positions with high security clearance, no way is she going to be interviewing on freaking YouTube on Ickmael and Tony Dodge and everything else. Give me a break. Yeah, she's just a professional gaslighter, is what she is. Kylie, they basically said we sacrifice a 16-year-old for the success of the college kids. Isn't that the Lord of the Flies? Granny Annie, you are on it too. Yeah, I mean, that's what her mom pretty much said right from jump was, well, let's just forget about my kid and focus on all the rest of the kids and Truckee because we need to honor them. And why should anyone get in trouble for something that's already happened when there's nothing we can do to bring her back? I mean, she might not have said those exact words, but that's pretty much exactly what she said, right? I'm sorry you're going through with your fur baby. I know. I'm just really grateful that she's still with us. I'm really grateful that we have access to the health care for her and the ability to do it. Absolutely. And so I looked up OSU because I said in one of my recent videos that they're like world-class best veterinary training in the planet, right? And they might be fourth in the country or fourth in the planet, but still, who cares? I mean, when you're that good, you're that good. And that we're right in the same state with, and it depends like what year you look at and who you're asking. Sometimes I think they are first, sometimes they're second. Some of the other really top ones are UC Davis, Texas A&M, and maybe Cornell and Iowa. I think Cornell and Iowa is usually like the top, but those four I think are the four best in the country. And like I said, it's just like different polls, different years. And then I didn't pay attention to the names of the ones in the other countries, just our country. So yeah, I'm really grateful to be in a state that has one of the top notch veterinary systems. So thanks, Alice. Zanime, hello, fixer, as in SF investigates, whom is now on Sebastian Rogers' case, standing up for mom and stepdad. So the fact that she's standing up for them makes me more suspicious of them. And I know it's not a popular opinion, but I've been suspicious of them all along. I haven't paid a lot of attention to that case because too much effery. I just can't. I can't. But I'm glad for the people that do to keep the pressure on and try to fight for that kid because that's just crazy. I had UC Davis for horsey issues. Hey, Granny Annie. Yeah, UC Davis is really top notch for horsey issues. I remember I was looking at UC Davis for a doctoral program after I did my master's degree. I think they were the first school that I looked at for doctoral. And then I looked at University of Washington in Seattle. Then I looked at one in Ohio. And then I looked at Notre Dame in Indiana. So, yeah, I don't know if I'll ever do a doctoral degree. My daughter's doing one right now. So maybe I should be competitive with her and try to do it too. But I'm kidding. No, she can run with that. I'll do my thing. She can do her thing. I had UC Davis. Okay. Oh, Sherry, you are right on time, girl. But yeah, we are just about at an hour. And let me look at my notes and see what else I have. I'm not in a huge hurry today, which is amazing because I feel like I'm always in a hurry. So I'm thinking, oh, I must be forgetting something. It's just about 5 minutes to 1. It's Tuesday, October 15th. Oh, and I said yesterday that we were like 3 weeks from the day of the presidential vote casting. But I think today we're 3 weeks out, right? So I was misinformed. I think yesterday I might have even said less than 3 weeks. I can't remember. I'd have to watch it again. But I think today we're exactly 3 weeks. Is that accurate? Let me look at my phone because I don't want to be wrong again and then have to clean up the inaccuracy another time. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. 3 weeks to the day. Yes. November 5th. 3 weeks to the day. Wow. That's pretty wild. Yeah, it's been a storm of sorts, hasn't it? It's just a lot of mudslinging, and I do not like that at all. I really don't like the mudslinging. I've never understood that in campaigns. It's just like take the high road, just try to promote your own positivity rather than tearing down the other person. In my opinion, that shows class, but who am I, right? Let's see. So they did recover Lori Ackerman's skull, trigger warning, and parts of her that were all dismembered with a reciprocal saw that was purchased at Walmart at 2 in the morning. So you can see the videotape footage of Grant Haze in the Walmart at 2 in the morning looking at the reciprocal skill saws. And I think he even gets like an employee to help him figure out what would be best for his evil intentions. So disgusting. And then they did that in the apartment, in the bathroom. And like I said, I think that was their apartment, not her apartment. So gross. What a mess. I just can't imagine. I mean, people actually doing that kind of thing. It reminds me of the ending of the movie Fargo when the one criminal puts the other criminal in the wood chipper. I mean, doing these things for real are going to be so much more disgusting than any of us can possibly imagine. I mean, it's just unreal. And then the muriatic acid. So that song, again, the Broomstick Rider is the name of that song, and the lyrics are what helped crack the case. In the video, in the 2020 episode, it's at the 1 hour, 3 minute, and some odd second mark where they play the song. Oh, and they played it in court. I'm so glad I looked at my notes. I'm so glad I wrote this down. They played it in court during the trial, and Grant is actually like moving to the beat of the song that he wrote about the crime that he's being tried for. Like, you can't make this stuff up, people. People are freaking crazy. People are freaking crazy. And yeah, the videotape footage of Amanda Haze disposing illegally of the muriatic acid, it's like there's like these environmental police that have surveillance cameras out in nature simply to bust people for illegal dumping. That was what got her. So good. Good. And she testified in her own trial. See, this is why I need my notes because my brain just goes blank. Amanda Haze testified in her own trial, tried to make out like she was a domestic violence victim. She wore this pink suit and spoke in this little baby voice, and that she only did what her evil husband was telling her to do because she was scared that she would be next. And yeah, I'm sure she would have been once he got sick of her. But it goes hand in hand with her being in that Stepford Wives movie with Nicole Kidman years before. And her acting skills and trying to portray herself as this little mousy woman when she obviously was not mousy at all. She had a very commanding presence, in my opinion. And let's see. I think that's about it. What else do you guys want to talk about before we wrap? We're just about an hour and 5 minutes, and you know me, my brain will deteriorate rapidly after I expire, which is around now. Fred Field says Cornell U is in New York. Cornell College in Louisiana is a small liberal arts school. I graduated in Iowa. Okay, so which one am I talking about? Thank you, Fred. Thank you for your accuracy. I appreciate that. I don't like being inaccurate, and it's too easy to do when I'm talking about so many things at once. So, veterinary college, the best veterinary colleges, animal sciences, top. UC Davis, and then Colorado State and Fort Collins. I forgot about them. They're also very good. Cornell University in Ithaca, New York. Thank you. There you go, Fred. Why was I thinking? What? Cornell University is in Ithaca, New York. Cornell College is the one in Iowa. Thank you, Fred. I really appreciate that. So, yeah, I always think of Cornell as being in Iowa, and you are accurate. And yeah, thanks for jogging my memory. So, the thing that I'm looking at has OSU as the fourth, and Ithaca as the second. No, Ithaca is the third. Colorado State and Fort Collins is second. And which one was first? Davis, UC Davis. So that's interesting too, because UC Davis, you guys, if you followed the Idaho 4 case, which I think most of the people in the chat have, UC Davis is who was playing the University of Iowa or Idaho the day of this quadruple slaughter 2 years ago. So that quadruple slaughter was only, 3 months after Kylie Rodney disappeared. And it was about 2 months after Kylie Rodney disappeared that Trinity Backus disappeared. And I know that some of you in this chat were some of the people who were trying to get me to look at Trinity Backus when I was like, back off. I'm not looking at any case but Kylie's. And then, Trinity Backus has a lot to do with Kylie's case. And just looking at the law enforcement involvement potentially in Kylie's case, in Trinity Backus's case, in the Idaho 4 case, you have to have the cooperation from locals, not to mention law enforcement, in order for these things to be solved. If law enforcement wants to hinder solving crimes, it's easy for them to do. Absolutely. Harsh did a poll, and I asked him to discuss Kylie CHP. Please find it and agree with me. We need to ask all channels and then go as a gang and agree to get the message across. Everyone, Kylie Rodney justice. Well, you do such good work too on your channel, JR Nana Boomer. And yeah, it's hard if you've got all the law enforcement that is involved, in my opinion, in Kylie Rodney's cover-up. It's virtually impossible to undo that, in my opinion. And I hope that I can be proven wrong. I do. There are a lot of connections. Justice for Kylie is justice for all. Absolutely. Absolutely. Hope Coco is hanging in there. She's pretty happy. I think I told you guys we've been feeding her and Mookie the farmer's dog, that expensive, fancy, like human dog food, since this started. And it's like changed their being on a very molecular level. I highly recommend that stuff for anybody that has pets. We haven't done anything with our cats like that, and maybe they should get spoiled too. But with the dogs, we just buy it at Costco. We don't buy it from the farmer's dog company. Costco has their refrigerated dog food section, and yeah, the dogs love, love, love it. So, trying to spoil her for quality of life and just to really like boost her strength between now and when her treatment starts. And yeah, it makes me wonder too if we'd been feeding her that all along, would she even have the cancer? Don't know. Um, let's see. ME, and I think you probably meant LE, cooperation on these hinky cases upsets me. In my opinion, goes back to frat and sorority packs to their secret societies. Oh, I agree wholeheartedly. And the rugs. I mean, frats and rugs go together hand in hand, you guys. Like, that's pretty much how fraternities raise a lot of money to keep themselves going, in my opinion, in my humble opinion. And with sororities and the OnlyFans, it was Google Lay who told me about that hinky connection. Don't Google OnlyFans and sororities unless you are wearing your big girl panties, because it's a little TMI. Yes, Trinity does have to do with Kylie. Well, and Trinity's stepdad, Christopher Stanyo, and his identical twin brother, Matthew Stanyo, Chris Stanyo, deputy for the Nevada County Sheriff, Matthew Stanyo, patrol for the California State Highway, trooper for the California State Highway Patrol. And yes, I have put community posts up of photographs of the two of them together, looking oh so very handsome in their little uniforms, or costumes as I like to call them. And yeah, then you look at all the law enforcement in freaking Moscow, in Idaho, in Pullman. Oh, it's crazy. It makes my head want to explode. So back to the whole thing with UC Davis playing at Moscow that night, or that day, on that Saturday. Does anybody know what time that football game was? And Davis beat Idaho badly that day, I believe. They also beat them at the home game earlier in the season that was at UC Davis. And the night of that game, there was allegedly somebody harmed with a sharp-edged object on campus. Like, something's going on with that football game, because everybody in that town was at that football game, and that could be part of your timeline, and it's not. It's like never mentioned, as if it didn't even happen on the same day. That's asinine. Probably everybody involved and not involved in the entire Idaho 4 case was at that football game. And let's say that the football game ended, somewhere between 4 and 6 o'clock in the afternoon, which for some reason I think that it might have. Then you would look at where people went after the game. Did they go home? Did they go to parties? Did they go to the bar? Did they go to the food truck? You could start there. I mean, typically you'd go back even further on your chronology timeline to try to look for other things connected. Like, nobody's talked about the Mad Greek restaurant in a long time, which is where Maddie and Zanime worked, and the only other Mad Greek restaurant owned by the same people is in Sitka, Alaska. And again, I'll bring up the Simpsons movie. If you haven't watched the Simpsons movie, it's very entertaining and it's very educational, and it's about Alaska and about all the crazy in Alaska. So it's my opinion that a lot of the crazy in Alaska parallels some of the crazy in Idaho. That you just have these extremes. Like, people go to Alaska to run away from their lives, to run away from the law, to run away from just to run away. And I think people would do that in Washington State too, out on the peninsula, out where Forks is, where they filmed, what was that TV show, Twilight. That part of Washington State was kind of like the end of the earth, unless you're going to go up to Alaska. So a lot of the crazy people would go out past Port Angeles, and, you know, Forks is the tiniest town. Until they started filming that show, Twilight, nobody had ever heard of it. It was so tiny. I'd been out there. It was a crappy little town. I mean, you could barely get a pizza or a coffee there. And that was 25 years ago, 30 years ago. You can probably get pizza and coffee there now. Well, especially since Twilight. Like, that was before the Twilight was filmed. Once they started filming Twilight there, they probably had all kinds of pizzerias and Starbucks popping up, right? Tourist trap. Anyway, my point is that there are places that attract the crazies, Florida being one of them, and Idaho. People go to hide out. I mean, we all remember the Unabomber. Wasn't he hiding out in Idaho when they finally busted him? A lot of people of extremes go to Alaska, the peninsula in Washington State, Florida, or Idaho. I mean, it's sort of like all of the corners of the earth, right? The corners of our country, anyway. Forks, Washington, there's a prison there. Is there a prison there? I would think that I would know that, because there's nothing there, JR Nana. There's nothing there. And I would imagine that you're right, because you're very well informed. Oh, by the way, the bum is in the Philippines. He needs channel support. God is good. He shows off Filipino cuisine, real life, wholesome, hard work, and good stuff. That's awesome. Oh, medical examiner. Thank you, Granny Annie. When I said LE and you said ME, you meant ME. Thank you. Thank you. So I missed a whole bunch of stuff. Let's see. The secret handshake. My Idaho friend on Lake Coeur d'Alene gave me the secret handshake. I looked at him weird. Now I know. Well, the secret handshake is also in the 21 Pilots music video of Stressed Out. It's funny. Cornell College is only 1,000 to 1,200 students, famous for one course at a time. Right, because I went to Evergreen State College, which is very similar to that. When I went there, Fred, it was about the same size. It was about 1,200 students, and it did the one program at a time. And that's what it was called, one program at a time. Also, Colorado College in Colorado Springs, they do like one class at a time, and they just do like a 10-week crash course, one at a time. So, yes. All right. Yeah. So I saw that the bomb was live. I think that was yesterday, but I didn't get to chime in and watch. I was so busy yesterday. My lady friend was a correctional officer in Alaska. Well, I went to high school with somebody who's serving 99 years in the correctional facility in Alaska. And he deserves it. So, yeah. He committed some crazy crimes in Alaska. And people commit crazy crimes in Alaska because it's known to be a lenient state. But people commit crimes in other places and then go try to hide in Alaska because it's a big, big, big state. It's so much bigger than any of us can wrap our minds around, even if we've been there. It's like the size of like half of the continental US practically. Is humongous, absolutely humongous. And like 95% of it is government property. Yeah, you got to watch the Simpsons movie. Have you seen it, you guys? Have any of you seen it? It's so good. And you know, the Simpsons, Matt Groening, he went to Evergreen State College where my husband and I went and met. And he had dropped out in 1987, right before I started there. My husband started in 87 too. He started fresh out of high school. I was a transfer student. But anyway, Matt Groening had a pen and ink series called My Life in Hell. That was what got him started. And then he had a 2-minute contract, or he got signed with the Tracy Ullman Show. So he got a 2-minute cartoon between Tracy Ullman's 15-minute segments of her sketch comedy. You guys remember Tracy Ullman, right? She was amazing. She's who discovered The Simpsons. So The Simpsons had 2 minutes between each of her 15-minute halves, and it all got started with My Life in Hell by Matt Groening, which was basically autobiographical. And then that morphed into this 2-minute segment on the Tracy Ullman Show of The Simpsons. And then when it became its own show, I was at Evergreen. I want to say that was in like 1990 or 1991. I'll have to look up. But I was sitting at the student union with a bunch of other students, and we were watching a fellow student of our school. And lo and behold, here we are a million years later, and it's still running. I mean, I think it's been running consistently ever since the first season, which is the longest running of anything in television. MASH was the longest running before that, and that was 20 years. And now we're looking at what, about 30 years, 30 plus? Crazy. But yeah, go Matt Groening. Go, go, go. I used to fill vending machines at the prison in Monroe, Washington. LOL. Monroe isn't too far from Everett. And yeah, there's also a prison like in Kitsap County. Is it like Fox Island or near Fox Island? McNeil Island, the McNeil prison. Yeah. 60th reunion at Cornell is in 3 years. No on Simpson movie, Sherry said. Man, Fred, good for you, dude. You are phenomenal that you're still going strong, man. Still working these crazy hours. I'm glad you're only working half-time and not full-time. That's good. So yeah, I do need to get some work. You know, these damn YouTube promises that they're going to put money in my account. They keep saying that. They keep not doing it. So, you know, I got to do my other side hustle things for income, keep my family afloat, keep paying those vet bills. So I do need to wrap up. Thank you so much for being here. We're already getting close to 90 minutes. So love and light. I'm hopeful that I can be doing these regular routine lives and regain my focus, regain my composure, because, you know, I just really feel like I had lost it. My sister used to be the head managing nurse of ICU at the hospital in Monroe. I should rewatch and run commercials all day. Oh, Annie, Nanny, you're so nice. I mean, Annie Granny, you're not Nanny. I always put that in there. So yeah, you guys, if you just share a video of mine with somebody that you think might like it, I don't know if today's video is any good or not. I really can't tell until it's over. Like, it's funny. I have to watch it, and then I guess it probably depends on what kind of mood I'm in when I watch it. If I watch it, I don't always have time, but I do like to do that so that I can catch any mistakes that I make, because I do make mistakes, and that's annoying. And so that I can make sure that I got all the links in the description that I promise. So I'm not giving false promises. My granddaughter said, if you don't watch commercials, you don't learn anything. Oh, that's funny. So you guys, you know how I'm always the last like 4 months talking about one of my new favorite bands, AJR, Adam, Jack, and Ryan. Took me a minute. I was thinking Jake. Okay, Adam, Jack, and Ryan, AJR, the three brothers in that band. I'm going to put a link to their song that is about dropping out of college to do YouTube, and how commercials are like narcotics. So I'll put just that one AJR song in, and it's really funny. And in the video, I don't know who the guy is that is like not one of the brothers, but he's in some of the other videos too. So I'm thinking maybe he's like a drummer or something for the band. I'll have to figure that out. But he's not the lead singer. Jack Met is the lead singer, and he's kind of the central figurehead for the band. He's like the front person, but then they replace him with this other guy in some of the videos, and I don't know why, but it's cute and funny. So yeah, you got to watch the commercials, right? I share everything I can that's Kylie Rodney to X, Pinterest, Blogger, and a few other places. Anything I can to promote and keep Kylie Rodney relevant. Well, that's completely awesome, JR Nana. Yeah, I know. I know. I feel such a strong connection to Kylie. Such a strong connection. So, on that, you guys, I'm going to say peace out. Have a lovely afternoon. I hope to see you tomorrow before noon. Make sure you drink your water, get your exercise, get your nourishment, stay relaxed, stay educated, and just be yourself. Just be. JR Nana, I have almost bought some landscaping shaving tools for hair I never paid attention to. You're funny. So you're talking about the commercials. Oh, I know. I can't stand the commercials. That's so funny. So, they have this whole line called manscaping. Okay. On that, you guys, love and light. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for supporting the channel, and see you on the next one. Keep fighting truth to power. All right. Have a great day.